Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show with host Stephanie Vivier.
Well, hello, Rob. Always great to chat with you. How have you been? How are things?
Good. I came back from holidays and like super hot, and enjoyed my time. Gained probably about 5 to 8 pounds, and and it was in Italy. I went to Italy, and fantastic. I still got relatives there. I didn't see my relatives there, but just saw a lot of other people's relatives, and it was pretty good. It was
all right.
It was awesome. But I want to talk about the market. Then we're going to get back to Italy and talk about the real estate. And things are really tough out there. And I don't know what to say. Like, we got stuff priced right, and here's the problem that's happening. Everybody is overpricing, and then when you reduce it, you're losing it. You're not. You just basically lost the best market. Your best market is in the first 2 weeks that your house is listed, and you overprice your house on the best 2 weeks of your house being on the market, and then you're done. That's it, and you're gonna lose it. And you got to price it right. And the stats are showing it. And Lou, like,
there's a lot of pressure on price.
Yeah,
no matter what you price it at, though.
Hold on one second, guys, because we didn't introduce Lou. So Lou Tellerico is with us today as well, and he is a sales specialist with the Golfi team as well. Thanks for being here, Lou.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So I love when you guys bring us the stats, the info, the numbers. That's what everybody wants to hear about. So let's dig into some of that.
Okay, so in Niagara right now, percentage changeover, like we're talking about, based on numbers of, I think this is June of last year versus June of this year. And in Fawn Hill Pelham, 22% down in percentage in median price, benchmark price. Now Fawn Hill Pelham, a lot of high-end homes there. You'll see drastic changes like that. Same thing in Niagara on the Lake. It's either going to be really high or really low. Now, Fort Erie is down 11% in a benchmark price. So last year, it was 617,500. This year, it's 549,000. It's insane. Like, everywhere, it's down. And everybody's experiencing it. Realtors, they're all trying to figure out what's going on. And the consumer is frustrated. They are frustrated because their house is not selling, and it's just the way the market is. We've got Niagara Falls. Okay, they're down 35% in unit sales year over year. And they're also down 7% in benchmark price.
That's the largest activity in Niagara.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then if we go to St. Catharines, unit sales down 29%, but their benchmark price is only down 1% from year over year. So they're actually holding on pretty tight. But and then we got Welland down 21% in unit sales, and it's down 4% in benchmark price. So last year in June, the benchmark price in Welland was $582,500. Now it's $560,000. So it is frustrating. Everybody's going through it. Even in the commercial market, it is. It's just crazy how it is. Now, I've got here, and I think you've got this in front of you too, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Is so if you go back 6 months, like for instance in St. Catharines, January of this year, and I'm just going to run through this. This is how crazy this market is. January of this year in St. Catharines, 594,600. February, 590,000. March, 590,000. April, it jumps up to 644,000. And then May, 648,000. June, it drops down to 600,000. It's like I said,
$50,000 drop in 1 month.
Yeah, so it just floats up and down, up and down. In Niagara Falls, it almost does the same thing. It actually was, January was a good time to buy. It starts climbing, and then April, Niagara Falls jumped up to 749,000. And then May, it drops to 694,900, and then it lands at in June at 600,000. It's
Well, that's not a landing. That is an absolute skyfall off of
Yeah,
a cliff.
yeah.
Like almost $100,000. Wow.
Yeah, it just every month is different, and you know what? We can't predict the market. We just go with it and try to think. But the pricing is so key factor right now in selling your house. If you're looking at selling, if you're looking at speculating, this is not the time to do it. If you're looking at putting your house on the market right now and say, hey, let's see what I can do, don't waste your time doing it. There's a perfect time for that. I don't think this year is that time. But if you're looking at selling, you got to get the right price for your house, and you'll get it. You will get it, but you got to now polish up your house. If you got a dirty house or you got a lot of junk around, that will cost you money. You think it's going to cost you money to get rid of it? It's going to cost you more money by not getting the sale price on your house. It becomes very, very difficult. We can't believe some houses we can't believe aren't selling, and it's just
like from comparison to like 3 or 4 years ago, Stephanie, I mean, the market has completely changed. Even after the COVID kind of pop from 2 years ago, like we've noticed, it's slowed down, but not to the extent it is now. Like Rob's point is that you have to make sure if you're ready to sell, then make sure you prep the house, get it decluttered, get it all shiny and new as best you can to get it ready for the market, get it ready for the photos. I mean, we offer staging if it makes sense to, and all that stuff to make sure it looks good. Then you have to make sure you have the right photos and the professional photography that we do. And then you have to obviously price it right. So all those have to be a big factor in the decision if you're serious about selling.
So give me an inside look here, guys, because you've been riding this roller coaster that Rob just explained in terms of those numbers. We're talking, $50,000, $100,000 drops and increases within a month. What do you do to really handle that and to stay on top of all of those things?
It's basically, first of all, we get the house sold ready. Get that all done. And then we look at the market, see what's happening. And you almost have to look at the market based on the last 30 to 60 days. You can't look and we kind of do look in the last 6 months to see what the trend is happening up and down. And then we try to come up with a number that basically what we think a willing buyer is willing to pay. Now, we could be off by that number by a small percentage, and it's just sitting. So, I mean, we all want more for our clients. And the client obviously wants more for their house. And we try to find a number that we think a willing buyer is willing to pay. And sometimes it just doesn't land right.
I just sold a home this week that we priced it pretty well. I helped price it right at the market we thought at the time. It was about a month ago, and we did get some activity. It was good. It's just that the initial offers weren't as high as we want them to be, but we just settled on a price $60,000 below asking. But again, in this market, it wasn't that bad. It was a firm offer, and we took it and we ran with it because you know what? To get a sale right now, it's not that easy.
It's like gold. Actually, it is. It's like gold getting a sale right now. All the agents are talking about it, and it is a market that we're in, and we just have to live through it. It will change, but when will that happen? I've got a gut feeling I know when it's going to happen, but it's hard to gauge.
So in other words, Steph, we have to really make sure we manage our clients' expectations after we go. After all those things are happening, we got them on the market, we go with the right price, we think it's right. And then as things kind of materialize in terms of showings or lack thereof, we have to kind of manage things as saying, okay, well, we thought this was the price range we needed to sell in, but it looks like the market's kind of rejecting it or not ready for it. We talk to buyer agents, and I'm saying, why are you bringing such a low offer? Lou, the market is not giving you that money, so we're going to come in at this price. That's where my buyers want to come in at. So we're dealing with a lot of those types of conversations in terms of them coming in so below what we think is a fair market price, and it just changes, and we're going to have to deal with that and really manage that with our clients.
Yeah, Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, Lou, you mentioned sort of that market of 3-4 years ago, much different world for realtors. So what kinds of skills have realtors had to really employ in this market that they perhaps weren't using in those easy times?
Yeah, it's just in terms of client expectations and managing that, it's tough. So you need to really make sure you understand, things like client motivation,
more marketing.
The marketing that we do, I mean, so we're following up relentlessly on all of our showings. Before even the showing, once the showing is booked, we follow up and make sure we talk up the property before they even see it, make sure they know the ins and outs, because sometimes, buyer agents don't go through all the features and benefits of the house. So we do a lot of discussions with agents and then post in terms of, hey, did you see the house? What do you think? So because every showing is like, again, it's gold. So you have to really make sure you're honest. So those skill sets never really were needed 3-4 years ago.
No,
but they are very relevant today.
Marketing is a key factor right now. We have our magazine that we send out, and it is important because a lot of times there's people that aren't looking at moving, but if they see the right house that shows up in the right neighborhood, they will call us, and somehow they'll look at it and say, hey, this is what I've been thinking about looking at. Let's put an offer in. But again, those people are the ones that aren't really looking. It has to be the right house. And if that happens, fantastic. But the one thing I do know, though, realtors are talking to each other way more now than they ever did by following up, staying in touch.
You're right.
And yeah, just talking to them, say, hey, listen, you want to come back in? Did you want to make an offer? We're flexible on price. Well, like, it's amazing. The realtors are working harder right now, and they're calling other realtors. Hey, listen, I got a listing here. You got to take a look at it. I just got an email this morning. The guy had 3 investment properties. I think a triplex and 2 fourplexes and a duplex. And he just said, hey, listen, these are the numbers, and here you go. So he's reaching out and seeing if I have any clients that might be interested. I did look them up. I actually looked these properties up. So realtors are working harder to get other agents to look at their listings so that they can get their clients to look at their listings.
And we know, like, you mentioned if you were kind of hang, I don't know if this is the right time, whatever it is, maybe hold off, but people are always going to need to move, right? So that becomes the advantage for the buyers right now.
It is. There's no doubt we're in the buyer's market, and I don't know how long we're going to be there. But if you've got an impeccable house and it's like sharp, you will get the dollars for it. But if you got a house that's junky, dirty, not well kept, and you're gonna lose money on that house, and like it's just that's the way it's just gonna be. And sometimes those people are disappointed. But they have to acknowledge and understand that. Listen, if you don't take care of your house, it's gonna cost you money. So let's say, for instance, the house is dirty walls and everything's not, you give it a paint job, paint the trim, paint the walls, it can make that much of a difference on the outcome of the sale price of your home. Now, if you just leave it the way it is, guess what? Even yourself looking at it, you're going to say, yeah, I guess it's not that good. But you got to be very careful. You want a top dollar, you got to clean it up. And it doesn't mean you're going to get more money. It just means you're going to sell faster in some cases.
So, like, when people ask us, Lou, I got a bathroom updated. My bathroom's outdated. What should I do? They call us in there, want advice. Things like a bathroom, I mean, that's a pretty expensive endeavor, kind of get cleaned up before you want to sell it. It's possible that maybe you can do it. It depends on what you pay for the upgrade. But really, the 2 main things we talk to our clients about today is the decluttering. Rob's mentioned it a few times. You got to remove a lot of the clutter that you have in your home. Just get it into the garage, or if you want to get a bin or put it in your parents' garage. And then the second thing is, paint. And especially if you could do it yourself. And a paint job will just clean it up, get the fresh smell of paint job. So those are the 2 things that we recommend for our clients right now if they want to kind of get their home kind of presented well.
Yeah.
Do you ever refuse a client if you feel like they're not going to be able to comply with those things?
We all the time. We end up sometimes not taking it because the client's unrealistic, and it's just not happening. And usually those clients end up coming to us a year to 2 years down the road because they exhausted. They went through 2-3 agents, and and agents, they can list at any price they want, right? And what happens is they realize now they're not going to get it, so they'll come back to us and say, you know what, let's list this house at the price that you suggested.
I had one this week that they had this carpet that was really beat up and dirty, stained. So anyways, we can talk about this after the break.
Yeah, sure. Okay, we will do that. We'll take a quick break here. We are on the Golfi Real Estate Show. You're listening to us today. Rob Golfi is here with us. He's also brought along sales representative Lou Tellerico, and they're going to stick around from the #1 REMAX team in Canada. Give them a call, 905-641-0308. Stick around. More Golfi Real Estate Show after this on 610 CKTV, Niagara's News and Talk.
Are you worried about selling your home on time and for the most money? Hi, I'm Rob Golfi. Every year we invest millions of dollars in our advanced marketing system, ensuring your home is seen by tens of thousands of potential buyers. We don't just hope it sells, we make it sell.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier, and with us today, Rob Golfi from REMAX, the Golfi team. He's also brought along with him his colleague, Lou Tallarico. And Lou, just before the break, you were telling us a story about a house that you went to see this week, and you said there was some stained carpet there.
Yeah, the house was overall in good condition, but the carpeting was really stained up and it just didn't present well. And, those are the discussions we have about, we talked about decluttering and maybe a fresh paint job. This one here, I kind of said, maybe we got to get this replaced. It wasn't a big part. It wasn't a big part of the home, so we thought we could do an update, and they ended up doing it. Like they called a contractor and got it cleaned up and got new fresh carpeting in there, and it looks much better.
It's crazy, right? That we do end up, sometimes our houses look the best they've ever looked. And you kind of look around and go, man, do we really want to move right now?
It's true.
Love it or list it. That show. Love it or list it.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have to make sure we get our clients kind of home presented in the best light. We talked about that. It's so important today. There's competition. There's lots of other inventory that they can look at in terms of being a buyer. So especially if you want to put your price up a little bit at the higher end of the market range, you want to make sure these details are looked after.
Well, it's going to take a little bit of work. We have to, even though the real estate market has been a little crazy in the last few years, we really have to bring ourselves back down to earth and say, we are asking people to pay $500,000, $750,000 for this. So, obviously it's going to take a little bit more than just slapping a sold sign on the front lawn.
1,000%.
Let's get off to Italy now. You're going to take us on a little trip. Now, Rob, you did go without us, but we're not going to be mad at you because you're going to take us with you now.
Yes. So I was in Italy, and actually I met up with Lou there for a quick short stint there.
Wow.
Yes. So
Small world.
Yeah. Now, and what I noticed is, there's a lot of homes for sale in Southern Italy due obviously to the population decline and economic migration. Many younger Italians have moved to the north because, abroad of search of better jobs opportunities, leaving behind older family homes, and now are empty. In some rural, remote towns, there just aren't enough people to sustain the local economy. And so these properties, sit vacant. So often inherited by family members who have no use for them. That's why you see many homes, even beautiful historic towns being offered for sale, sometimes incredibly low prices. Now, Lou, I met up with Lou and I saw him because we knew we were going to be there at the same time. And he took me into his little town that his family,
my parents grew up in, basically. So they grew up there, they got married, and then they came to Canada to start a better life, and they had us here. But going back, they have their family still there. My mom has her sisters and her brother there. So we go back there, and this little small town, like people have lived there for, a couple hundred years, and generations of family are all there. But right now, there's a lot of, migration out of there, going up to the north, and a lot of empty places. We saw, Rob and I were looking at some of the for sale signs in some of these old buildings that, they're inexpensive, like $10,000, $20,000. You got a nice apartment, a condo, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible how low these prices are. But, there's also that whole thing where the Italian government wants to kind of support some of these tourist people to come back and buy some of these older homes, clean them up, and get them incentives to do that. So there's a lot of that. But you just don't have the real estate market that we have here.
The hard thing is there was 50 homes in a little village that was for sale. That's currently active. There's a lot of other homes that expired and they just kind of gave up. Now, these a little bit like even where my dad's from, and there was a lot of homes for sale there, and they're struggling. They're struggling because the jobs aren't there. And what
tourism? That's the only thing that's really going there is the tourism. But I have relatives, cousins that are graduated with degrees and whatnot, and they can't find work in the south of Italy, and they're forced to leave and go up, and that just creates a lot of vacancy in the homes and the demand for the homes in the south. So, I have a cousin that's actually a realtor just outside of Milan, and he's hustling, he's doing things, and things are moving up there. But there's industry around Milan. There's like tons of activity with jobs and whatnot.
But how do you revive a whole village? Like it's tough. It's like it's trying to revive like downtown Niagara Falls. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's right. But over here. So when I'm walking through it, it's such a beautiful little village. It's probably who knows how old it is? 500 years? Who knows? and the homes are beautiful. It's probably older than that. The homes are beautiful, you know, and people used to congregate together, and they call it the local bar, and the bar meaning like the coffee shop. That's what they call in
Right.
Italy. And Lou was telling me, he said 20 years ago it was packed.
Yeah.
Everybody would get together at night, you know, and
Music playing, blaring until 2 a.m.
yeah, like and I'm looking at it, and I'm sitting there. There's probably, I don't know, 20, 30 people that were there, but you're telling me there was like probably 100. And I'm like, wow. And like such a big difference. Like in 10, 20 years from now, it's probably going to be closed down. Yeah. Like it's sad to see a culture in southern Italy just kind of die, and these villages that have, you know, nice homes, they're going to be empty, and you know what's going to happen. Like, I mean, they're just going to make movie sets out of there. You know,
Now, is the government stepping in at all to do anything to try to subsidize or revive these areas?
There are talks of a lot of that going on in different parts of southern Italy. So yeah, there is that. It doesn't happen in every town, maybe not mine, but there are talks, and I've heard of things in other towns. So I think that's the key, because guess what? The tourism, the beaches that are there are not going anywhere. And the people from even the north of Italy come down to the south because they understand that these are like beaches that you'd see in like Aruba or even Cuba, like the amazing beach areas. So that's what's going to bring people down there. So why not incentive to buy some beach homes and even properties just, you know, outside of the beach areas that you can kind of buy for little money, invest, and at least have a home base where you can kind of set up shop when you come to the south, and then you just drive over to the beach.
I know, but when people are buying, like the people that are selling, they want to get a well, in their opinion, fair market value. So eventually they'll get abandoned. The town takes over, and then they sell them for cheap because taxes weren't paid. They take over because people are giving up. And it's funny, you drive around, you see like old abandoned homes in the hills, and they just, like, obviously people walked away from those, right? Eventually in time. It's like my mom's side in Sicily, where they, you know, left their home, and years later there was no value there. And so basically they had a house, and now it's just, you know, like it's in the farm area, and goats are running through there now.
Well, it's funny you say that. My parents had some properties that they kind of inherited through my grandparents and so forth, and they had to go into the town and kind of pay some taxes on some of them. And then when they looked up the name of my grandparents, they said, oh, by the way, they have other properties that you may not be aware of that they own, and they haven't paid taxes on them. So now you got to pay the taxes on those things.
Oh, no.
See how they get you there? But
anyway.
Yeah, no. But
listen, overall, the south of Italy is amazing. It's beautiful. The food, the culture, the people.
Yeah.
I mean, the beaches, you won't believe it, stuff. It's an amazing part. And yeah, so the real estate, it's a little wonky there. Hey, but it is here too a little bit right now. It's a moment in time. I think we're going to get through this. I don't want this all to be about negative kind of even around here. Like the Niagara region, I think it's going to turn around. Like I've sold a few properties there. We're selling properties. Things are moving. Yeah. It's just not at the pace we're used to from 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Well, where we are here in southern Ontario, it'd be like what it is in northern Italy, or Milan and all that, Rome, and everywhere there.
There's industry.
There's industry, there's jobs, there's everything. People are moving that way, just like people are moving to Ontario. There's more jobs in Ontario than probably than other smaller, like Saskatchewan, where there's farm country there. But it's amazing to see the culture, the houses, and I was totally amazed at it. And I always look at the real estate offices and see what's going on. But Italy is going through some changes, and it's hard to tell where it's going to be at in 20 years, especially southern Italy, and because they're going to lose. Population is dying out there, and you know the young people are moving north, and the older generation are staying there. And once they're gone, who's gonna be living in these places? Yeah,
it's gonna be tough.
Well, if anyone's interested, we got a Golfi team connection over there. Lou will.
You got it.
Number.
You got it.
All right, let's take it back closer to home. You guys are talking about, the change. Let's not call it difficult. Let's just call it the change in the market right now. And I can imagine that because of this, there's some people out there trying to take advantage of it, throwing out some lowball offers. Is this something, how common is it to get these lowball offers right now?
They're happening a lot. And, we've been asked to put lowball offers on certain houses. And the key thing is some of these houses are overpriced. And so in the eyes of the seller, to them, they think it's a low ball offer. And a lot of times it may not be a low ball offer. And, you know, it just happens. But they're happening more and more now.
You know, and stuff, we get these offers and we present them to our clients, and guess what they do, right? They get upset. They tell you to go.
They get emotional.
Tell them to go. You know what they tell the buyer to do with their offer,
Right.
and they
Go
won't
shovel
even.
some snow.
And they won't even. Typically, they won't even respond to a low ball offer. Their direction to us, and we always, you know, obviously depending on the situation, we will try to encourage some sort of a sign back. But again, depends on how far apart the number is and the situation that we're talking about. It may not always happen. So they're just coming in. There's a lot of inventory, so they do this, and we have to deal with it. And it's really an emotional roller coaster for not only ourselves as realtors, but for our clients. And we try to figure it out.
Okay, and so when we talk lowball, is there a percentage off of asking price you guys would consider to be lowball? Like, what are we talking about? How low is lowball?
Depends. Like if it's 10-15% low, like let's say you
I'd
got
say more than that. Like you're getting 20% below market. So you have $1 million place and you get an offer for $800,000.
Yeah, and or even less,
or even less.
$750.
But that's kind of what we're seeing. Is low ball is like 20 points or more. But if it's in 10%, then we're in range, I think.
Yeah.
But 20 or more is kind of considered in our minds a low ball offer.
Sometimes the best thing to do with that is, and I'll write this down, respectfully reject it. So basically, we're saying, listen, come back at a better price, and maybe we can negotiate. Sometimes people try, and when they do come back, you're almost at a point where, hey, you are going to put a deal together. It just depends. We always suggest and say, listen, let's just give it a sign back and see where they're at, because people are always going to try. And if you do a sign back, like this is the knee reaction that most sellers do. You get a low ball off, they sign it back at the full price, and the problem there is the house is already overpriced, but because their emotions got in, their knee reaction is to sign it back at the full price. So we suggest let's see if we can negotiate, but it's hard, and that's our job, is to keep the emotions out of it. But sometimes people don't do that, and so when I always present an offer, I always say this is their starting point. I don't say this is, and it makes it easier. And I say, guys, listen, it's a low offer. It's a starting point. Let's give it a sign back. And if they're not even close in our range, then we can tell them to we're not interested anymore. But if they do come within our range, then we know, hey, it's good that we didn't reject it and tell these guys to go someplace else.
The one I just sold this week was actually, the initial offer was about 12% below our asking. And then we got it down to like within like 5 or 6. So there was no negotiation. It took about a week and a half to figure it all out, though.
Yeah, it does. It
doesn't just like happen. So just walk away. Buyers will walk away. Sellers get cold. You know, it's just one of those things. But you know, it's okay, because you know what, you learn a lot of different skills in this market as a realtor, and I've really felt that you know, you kind of have to step up your game, and I've really kind of, you know, whatever, it's been a good kind of challenge to kind of take on.
And if your buyer, you're representing a buyer, wants to be a little cheeky with a low ball, do you go with that, or do you try to discuss, and if maybe you feel the house is appropriately priced for that? What's your response there?
If it is appropriately priced and it hasn't been on the market very long, we tell them, be very careful. The seller's emotions will get in place. They may not even want to sell it to you after, even if you do come up to a reasonable price. So you have to be very, very careful, because emotions are always running. Yeah, definitely. You definitely got to be.
You coach them as best you can. You show them obviously the comparable stuff to make sure they understand. Here's what we think the value is. As you know, you would assess a home when you tell a seller this is what it might be worth today. You do the same thing with the buyer, right? You kind of take them through some of the comparables in the neighborhood and say, listen, this is what ones I've just sold recently have gone for. If you come in 150 grand below that, it's gonna create a little friction, and you may not get this house.
Some great advice right there. That's what you get here on the Golfi Real Estate Show. Rob Golfi is with us, sales representative with the #1 REMAX team in Canada. He's brought along with him his colleague Lou I'm sorry, I lost my paper with your last name, Lou.
Talarico.
Talarico. There we go. There it is. Lou's here too, and he's the only Lou on the team, right, Rob?
That's right.
Yeah.
Just call Lou.
Just call Lou.
905-641-0308. These guys are going to stick around. Hope you will too here at 610 CKTV, Niagara's News and Talk.
I know the importance of hiring the best agents.
I'll take a photo of your house and post it on the World Wide Web.
Next,
Our multi-million-dollar marketing system reaches tens of thousands of potential home buyers every day.
go to robgolfi.com and put the best team to work for you.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier. With us today, Rob Golfi and Lou Talarico from the #1 REMAX team in Canada, the Golfi team. And we have been learning about all things real estate today, getting an update on the market as it is today and finding those insider tips if you're looking to buy or sell. All right. So we talked a little bit about those sellers and how they're going to have to go. I don't want to call it above and beyond, but there is going to be a little bit of work in getting the home ready to go. What about something like adding a bathroom? Would we want to, or a bedroom? Would we want to consider that right now?
It depends on the style of the house. Now, for instance, if you have a bungalow and it's a 2-bedroom bungalow, and you know there's no more room to add any more on the main floor, you could add a bedroom downstairs. Definitely, there's a plus to that. But you can get away with a 2-bedroom bungalow because right now the way the population and the aging population, they don't care about a 3rd bedroom there. Even but having a 3rd bedroom in the basement is always a plus. Now, if you have a 2-story and you have a 2-bedroom 2-story, and you know, let's say the upstairs could handle 3 bedrooms. If you can do that, it does add value because it is harder to sell a 2-bedroom 2-story than it is a 2-bedroom bungalow. So,
And even a 3-bedroom 2-story, if you could squeeze in a 4th bedroom, people love that because, again, a lot of big families out there that are looking for 4-bedroom homes, and that could definitely add value to your home if you could add that 3rd or 4th bedroom in a 2-story. To Rob's point about the bungalows, and I have a side split where there was 3 bedrooms in the split, and then in the main kind of 1, 3, 4 steps down into this kind of 3rd level, there was a room that we used as a den. Well, we call that a bedroom now as well because, again, you can make that a 4th bedroom. So we made sure that was now listed as a 4th bedroom because it would definitely add more value to this particular home.
And then when you're staging, you would stage it as a bedroom and people can see the vision.
Yes.
Right. Because remember, a lot of times, I mean, even the old homes that you see down on Murray Street or whatever, they have 3-bedroom homes. None of them really have closets, but they're 3 bedrooms.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't just say, well, it doesn't have a closet, it's not a bedroom. Well, no, there are a lot of homes that were built without closets back in the day, but we still call them bedrooms. So that we do the same thing today.
Yeah, a lot of the older homes in all these cities and towns, you'll find that the old 2-story homes, they don't have any closets. And when you move into them, then you realize, where's the closet in these places? And meanwhile, you have to buy a wardrobe closet to help accommodate your clothes in that bedroom.
Yeah, so definitely a nightmare for any clothes horse out there. What about when it comes to, building codes and checking with the city? Can you just add a bedroom, or do you need to go through the whole permit system?
Well, if it's indoors, you still have, if you're moving walls and stuff, you still have to go through the permit system, or if you're putting an addition, same thing. Usually a lot of basements, a lot of finished basements out there, they haven't gone through permit because people don't, they're getting scared because they feel that if they finish their basement, they're going to end up paying higher taxes, and that's what they try to avoid. So you find that a lot of homes out there that have sold or for sale, or they've been finished basements. If it's a professional contractor, they'll normally get a permit to finish that basement because they don't want their name on something that is not done legally right. So if you're so the best way is to get a permit so that that everything's above board. The one thing is with bedrooms is I've sold a 1-bedroom on the main floor, and then there was 2 in the basement. Mm-hmm. Those were tough. I remember a couple of raised ranches I sold, and it was difficult to not only just sell it, but just to get people to look at them. And so we have with our marketing, it was easier for us to get people there to look at it. It's just a lot of heavy marketing to get people into buying a 1-bedroom on the main level, and then you have your 2 bedrooms in the lower level. Those are tough because people are looking for 2 or more bedrooms on the main level or higher.
It's very, it's different now. People want to have a bedroom for every single kid, whereas back in the day, you know, you'd shove a few in a room, right?
Yeah. The thing is, if people, when they buy a home or even a condo, they'll look at it and say, well, my needs right now, I don't need a 3rd bedroom or sometimes even a 2nd bedroom on that main floor. Let's open it up to have more living space for a living room and a kitchen, and we'll be fine, right, with a 1 bedroom or even a 2 bedroom. But then, you know, things change, and then they go to sell it for whatever reason, and it's like, oh, I got a 2 bedroom, and you know, everyone else has a 3 bedroom with this price size range, and then sometimes you just can't easily add in back that 3rd bedroom that you kind of took away, or the 2nd bedroom you took away. So you got to be careful when you make a renovation that deletes, you know, bathrooms or bedrooms, and make sure that you're going to be there for the long term, because at that point, it doesn't matter. You want to make it accommodating to your needs for the next 20 years, go ahead and make those change. But in the short term, you have to be careful.
I found that a lot of times that when somebody does a renovation, and it really kind of hurts, it could hurt the resale, and I'll tell them that. I go, hey guys, maybe you should have done this or should have done this. They go, well, I don't care. You know, I don't care about reselling this house. But usually those people end up reselling within 5 years, and they want top dollar. And then I'll explain to them, say, hey, listen, if you did this while you're, you know, renovating and stuff, like, you know, like put on whatever different rooms, you would actually you could have demanded more money. And that's when they care, is when you sell it. But they don't care when they're doing it. And it happens so many times. I get guys that say, I don't care about, you know, when I sell it, I just want to live. I design it the way I want it because that's the way I want to live. But then when they sell, that's when they complain, and they can't understand why people don't like their floor plan. And you know, and then they're losing money on it. So it's very important. I always tell people, maybe because I'm a realtor, that's just the way I am. But if I'm putting an addition on, or you know, redesigning a floor plan, I redesign it based on what I think the consumer would like to have when they're looking for a house.
The resale value.
The resale value. I'm always looking at resale. So if you're looking at renovating and you're looking at doing changes and taking out walls and doing whatever, be very careful, because you don't want to depreciate the value of your house where you can appreciate even more by your renovations. So just be very careful on that. And I always tell people when they're building a house or doing, let me look at the floor plans. A lot of times I see things that they don't see, because I've been in thousands of homes. I know what flows, what doesn't flow, and I may, you know, I'll tell them to do a little adjustment here and there, and you know, and that makes a huge difference. So.
Next Golfi stream of revenue, the contracting consultant.
That's it. That's it.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Is there an ideal amount of bedrooms? Like, what is the most common, number requested bedrooms you guys get when people call?
Well, again, Steph, it depends on the neighborhoods and whatnot, right? Like you know, if there's a subdivision with, you know, new homes, you know, that are going on, like there's a lot of happening in Welland right now, and I've sold a few up there, and you know, they're building a lot of homes up there, right? So a lot of 3-4 bedroom homes. A lot of people with multi-generational families are looking for 4 bedrooms up there for sure. So that's kind of a niche in that neighborhood. But then there's, you know, old St. Catharines and whatnot, and they're looking for those bungalows to retire in. So those ones are okay with the 2 bedrooms. So it just, again, depends on the neighborhood and the type of people that are maybe moving into those areas.
Oh, sure. Yeah, keep that in mind. I would imagine, too, an extra bedroom or 2, because people working from home, you got to have more offices than we did previously.
That's still a factor for sure. Not as much as it was 3-4 years ago, but they're always looking to put aside one of the bedrooms as an office if they don't have an extra den for sure. So, yeah, we're aware of that, and they need that space. And sometimes there's even two people are working from home, so they almost need to have 2 offices / a bedroom and office, a den to accommodate their work style needs.
All right. Any story about dogs you know I'm in? And Rob, you've brought us one today that ended up going to court, and it had to do with condo rules. And anyone who's lived in a condo can appreciate how frustrating those can be sometimes. And a court has ruled in the favor of the owners.
Yes. So it was a high-profile case in Waterloo, and it's a condo corporation fined a couple for violating their one dog only bylaw, even though both individuals had service dogs. The case made its way to court, where the condo board was ordered to pay $15,000 in penalties for trying to enforce the rule unfairly. Now, fast forward nearly a year later, the Ontario Divisional Court has upheld that decision, dismissing the condo board's appeal entirely. The message from the court is loud and clear. Service animals are not pets, and the condo boards need to tread carefully when enforcing bylaws. Now, this ruling sets a strong precedence across Ontario, and it signals discriminating against service animals will not be tolerated, and any condo corporation or property manager ignoring human rights protections could face legal and financial consequences. Now, everybody's going to have a service dog, because I know one person, their dog has anxiety if they leave them, so they bring their dog everywhere. So she brings her dog into the restaurant, and the restaurant owner says, "Hey, sorry, ma'am, you can't have your dog in here." So her comeback was, "This is a service dog for my personal, I guess, anxiety. The dog has anxiety, but it's not the dog that it's." So anyway, what does the restaurant owner do? He's got to let the dog be there. I mean, it's just a tiny little dog. Just puts it by, and it just sits by its feet and doesn't bother anybody or anything. But this is where it's getting at. Now, Lou, you got a little dog. You could take your dog anywhere. You just say, hey, listen, you need this dog for your own peace of mind.
It's like 5 pounds soaking wet, this little Maltipoo I have. But yeah, no, it's a different type of dog. But it's funny. I got a question from a buyer's agent yesterday, because I have a lease right now, and they asked, hey, they allow a dog and a cat.
Yeah.
And this now it's not a condo, so there's condos are different. They have rules, and again, the condo boards have to be very careful, because they sometimes conflict with, the
if there's too many, because if you got a condo apartment, a building, and you got dogs in every unit, every time somebody walks down the hall, there's going to be everybody barking. Like, they're trying to control it. And I think, and I get it, I understand it. Like, people do need service dogs, but I think it's going to get out of control, just like everything else is getting out of control now in the society that we're allowing to happen.
Some of them not only discriminate, also on setting up parameters on the dog's weight.
Yeah, but
That's discrimination, isn't it?
Well, and that's why the condo board lost, because. I guess these people needed these dogs because they're service dogs. Now, service dogs aren't just like you see as what do you call it? The large dogs, the
seeing eye dogs.
Seeing eye dogs. It's not just that. Yeah. It could be a little puppy. It could be not a puppy, but a little dog like you have, Lou. That's 5 pounds, and it could be a service dog, because you having that dog with you eliminates anxiety or depression or whatever.
There's differences between a service dog and an emotional support dog, which is and I think that service dogs actually have regulation and registration, which presumably, given that these people won this case, they probably had to give to the board there.
Yes.
So so that service animal or emotional support animal, that's when you see me carrying my Shih Tzu in the dollar store, and I'll tell you she's emotionally supporting me.
Right, and you can get a certificate for that, and it's allowed. And you'll so if you see a dog in a store or a restaurant, and the reason is because of the emotional support that person needs from that dog.
But for us, I mean, we obviously understand that there's condo rules, and you have to kind of acknowledge them and obviously work with them. And service dogs are fine, are an exception to it, and that's fine. They have to recognize that. But we're not going to violate a condo rule and kind of like fib on an application and kind of have the dog show up later if it's not, again, even a service dog. So you got to be really careful with the dog laws in these condos.
Yeah.
And with the Landlord-Tenant Act, again, different from condos because they'll have their own individual rules. Are landlords allowed to say you can't have animals? Because I thought they couldn't do that. How does that work?
Well, so here's the thing: they can say it, but what happens is if the tenant gets one later, you can't stop them, and you really can't stop a tenant having a pet. Now, and that's the hard part. Like I had one tenant on one of my properties ask me, their son wants to have a cat, and I said, listen, I'll have no problem with that as long as you take care of it and clean it and everything's clean. But if it's not, then I'm not a big fan. Usually my tenants, they start off with no pets, but they end up with a couple of pets.
Everyone today has a dog. Everyone
like
at least has. There's at least one or two dogs that are out there for family. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Everybody, there's landlord tenant board. You cannot stop somebody from having a dog or a cat as a pet.
Okay, well, that's good information for both tenants and landlords right there. And that's what we always get. And time flies so fast when we're chatting. Rob, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thanks.
And Lou, thanks for being here.
No,
Hope
thanks
you'll
for
come
having
back
me.
again.
Yeah, hopefully see you again.
Yeah, that is the Rob Golfi Real Estate Show here on 610 CKTV. If you want to call the number one REMAX team in Canada, the Golfi team, 905-641-0308, robgolfi.com. That is GOLFI.com. Thank you so much for listening here on 610 CKTV, Niagara's News and Talk.